Between 1910 and 1935, cowboy movie legend Tom Mix made 336 films, all but 9 of which were silent films. After 2 major fires, less than 10% of those movies are in existence today. Mix was a very colorful personality, claiming to have ridden with Teddy Roosevelt up San Juan Hill, to have been a deputy sheriff in Oklahoma, and many other claims. Most of his claims were simply lies. He was in the Army during the Spanish-American War, but did not ride with Teddy Roosevelt. Instead, he was a deserter. That would come into play years later on during his death, when the Army would refuse to bury him with military honors and then have to explain to the public why that decision was made. Neither is there evidence that he was ever a deputy sheriff. What he was a braggart, an alcoholic, and probably the best rodeo cowboy that this world has ever seen. During the Depression years, Tom, always the rodeo showman, signed up with the Sells Floto Circus, of which he owned a great part of. When he could, he amazed the viewing audience with horsey tricks. It was every young boy's dream to have his own Tom Mix rodeo button. When he couldn't perform, it was usually because he was so inebriated that he couldn't stay on the horse, something they kept hidden from the viewing audience. During these drunken moments, and there were many, daughter Ruth would don her father's outfit and would perform in his place without the public ever knowing the difference. Here is a somewhat rare photo of daughter Ruth dressed up as Tom, and we can see from the face that it is a feminine face. This kind of destructive lifestyle catches up to anyone eventually, as it did for him. A few miles south of Florence, Arizona, on what is now Highway 79, is the place where Mix left his last footprint. The state of Arizona has placed a monument there to commemorate him. Every once in a while, someone steals this little horsey on top of the monument, and the state has to dish out money to replace it, but it was there when we went through. These videos are several years old, so I can't guarantee that it's there right now. In reality, this spot is not where Mix was killed. Before analyzing his last footprint, we ought to take a look at a lot of the footprints he left in between. And if you're an investigator, chances are you're going to end up visiting a lot of these hotels that he used when he was filming. While filming the Great K&A train robbery in 1929, Tom Mix and his cast of 50 stayed here at the Hotel Colorado in Glenwood Springs. It does not appear that any of the film footage from this movie was filmed here at this hotel. But they were proud enough of the fact that Mix and his cast stayed here, so they hung a picture of him in one of the hallways. Even though this hotel is purported to have paranormal activity, it is not attributed to Mix. In fact, whereas all of these hotels claim purported activity, they all claim that it was from occurrences other than Tom Mix. There was only one which actually claims that Mix might be one of the apparitions. And that one is here, at the Hotel Vendome in Prescott, who claims that Mix rented a room by the year in his early filming days. Those records have long been lost, and I could locate no proof at the Historical Society to show that Mix ever even stayed here. That was a legend that's been passed down through the early owners. During the early days of our investigations, I personally witnessed a full-bodied apparition of a cowboy walk through this solid door, room 16, which is supposed to be the haunted room of the hotel. After reviewing almost 100 pictures of Mix, both on and off the movie set, I came to the conclusion that the apparition that I saw was probably not Mix, although I could see why it would be confused as him. The hotel believes that whatever occupies that room is named Abby. I can personally guarantee the owners that whatever is in that room was never named Abby. Tom Mix was alleged to have rented room 3 directly behind the lobby on the ground floor, and what is known as the Tom Mix hat rack in that room is actually a staircase leading up to one of the rooms above, either 19 or 17, but that could have had something to do with Prohibition rather than Mix. The year that we did our second investigation, which you just saw excerpts of and produced no activity recorded, Mix's room was being used as the hotel office, and the hat rack was being used for storage. But they've had new owners since then, and this room is now rentable once again. While on location filming in Prescott, Mix also stayed at these other hotels. The StanJanParanormal, which supposedly has a chipped place in the stairs where Mix actually rode his horse up the stairs. Their advertised room of activity is room 426. And the St. Michael's, which loosely claims that their activity is just centered somewhere around the 3rd floor. When in Phoenix, Mix stayed at the Adams, which used to be on the corner of 1st and Washington, not there anymore. The Apache Lodge at Roosevelt Lake, now underwater. And in Tucson at the old Santa Rita. This was where Mix spent the last night of his life partying with band members and friends, staying up until early morning hours and getting up at noon to head to Florence. When we tried to do an investigation here in 2009, we found the Santa Rita being torn down to be replaced by the new Tucson Electric building. Since being built, I have read that there are claims of activity level now in that building and on the same floors that were recorded on the Santa Rita. Tom should have stuck to horses. This scene from the 1935 Miracle Rider was almost prophetic. Around noon on October 12, 1940, Tom Mix checked out of the Santa Rita Hotel in Tucson, proceeded up Highway 79 to Oracle, where he stopped for more drinks, and then started out again. Tom liked to drive the cigarette-colored 1937 Corvette Phaeton fast. He was unable to stop for workers repairing a washed-out bridge or to negotiate the detour. The workmen said the car flipped, pinning Tom underneath, and when they went down and righted it, he was dead inside. His neck had been broken, and death was instantaneous. There is another story that he stepped out of the automobile and took a single step before dying, but that is inaccurate.
Hello.
To get to the site of the accident, you have to proceed down this road about a quarter of a mile to the nearest bridge. I drove part of it in my Pontiac, but it got pretty sandy. I would suggest you probably not do it unless you have a truck. This is the bridge due south of the monument, and on the south bank looking north, that's the side over there where he hit directly on the other side. Some former fans have placed crosses and other paraphernalia at the accident site. I'm not certain how they know this is the accident site, but I'm going with it myself. We didn't bother them, we just looked at them, filmed them, borrowed them a little.
Tom, if you're here, come give us a sign. Move over next to the probe here and make it activate. If your spirit is anywhere around this area, we'd love to talk with you. Tom Mix. Hezekiah.
Hezekiah was a given name that he shucked at an early age.
Tom, come right over here. This is where the accident occurred. This is where your last moments were here. Feel free to come and talk to us. Tom? Tom? Come on, Tom. I'm standing right on the spot where you were here. You got out of your car, took one step, and that was all you could do. I don't know if you're attracted to this place, to the Hotel Vendome, to the StanJanParanormal. If you're here, feel free to leave us a message, all right? Give a few beeps.
Well, and so goes that story. We didn't get any hits at all. We have gotten hits in graveyards before where there were no electrical lines or anything else around to produce EMF, such as in the Tombstone Boot Hill area, so it's not unusual for us to try.